Welcome to Don Bosco in a Year podcast.
Day 29. In the seminary, I was quite fortunate in that I always enjoyed the affection of my companions and of all my superiors. At the mid-year examinations, it was customary to give a 60 franc prize for each of the different years to the person who obtained top marks for study and conduct. God truly blessed me. For the 6 years I spent at the seminary, I won this prize. In the second year of theology, I was made sacristan. It was not a post that carried much weight, but it did show one was appreciated by the superiors, and it did carry with it another 60 franc. All this meant that I could provide for half of my fees, while good Father Cafasso provided the rest. I had some mistaken notions about my studies that could have had sad consequences had I not been saved by a truly providential event. Accustomed to reading the classics all during my school days, I had grown so familiar with the outstanding characters of mythology and pagan fables that I found little satisfaction in anything ascetical. I had reached the point where I could convince myself that fine language and eloquence could not be reconciled with religion. The very works of the Holy Fathers appeared to me as the products of limited intellects, accepting always the principles of religion, which they expounded with force and clarity. At the beginning of my second year of philosophy, I paid a visit to the Blessed Sacrament one day. I had no prayer book with me, so I began to read the Imitation of Christ. I went through some chapters dealing with the Blessed Sacrament. I was so struck by the profound thoughts expressed and the clear and orderly way these great truths were clothed in fine language that I began to say to myself, the author of this book was a learned man. Again and again, I went back to that golden little work. It was gradually borne in on me that even one verse from it contained so much doctrine and morality as I had found in the whole volumes of the ancient classics. To this book, I owe my decision to lay aside profane literature. Subsequently, I went on to read Calmet's History of Old and New Testaments. Next, I tackled the Jewish antiquities and the Jewish of Flavius Josephus. Bishop Marquette's discussions on religion followed. Then Fresenius, Barnes, Zucconi, and many other religious writers. I even enjoyed Fleury's church history, unaware that it was a book to avoid. With yet more profit, I read the works of Cavaika, Passavanti, and Seminary, all of Henen's history of the church. Perhaps you will say that with so much time given to extraneous reading, I must not have been studying the treatise. This was not the case. My memory continued to be a blessing to me. Paying attention at lectures and just reading the treatise was sufficient for me to perform my duties. Thus, I was able to spend the hours of study reading different books. The superiors knew all about this and left me free to do it. One subject close to my heart was Greek. In my secondary classical studies, I had already mastered its basic elements with the help of a dictionary. I had worked my way through the first translations after I had studied the grammar. A good opportunity soon arose for me to deepen my knowledge of it. When cholera threatened Turin in 1836, the Jesuits had to send their boarders from Our Lady of Mount Carmel College away to Montaldo. This move meant that they had to double their teaching staff because they had to cover the classes for the day students who continued to come to school. Father Cafasso, who was consulted, proposed me for a Greek class. This spurred me to get down to the serious study of the language, to make myself capable of teaching it. By this means, I had managed to be able to translate Greek almost as well as I could Latin. At this time too, I studied French and the principles of Hebrew. These three languages, Hebrew, Greek, and French, always remained my favorites after Latin and Italian.
Thank you for joining us today on this journey to know Don Bosco. May these reflections deepen our faith, guide us closer to God each day, and hope to see you all tomorrow. Till then, keep seeking, keep praying, keep growing.